You're at the river, you've picked a great fly, you found some fishy-looking water, and you've made fantastic drifts through it. Everything is clicking, except for that whole catching fish thing. So you focus on hitting different water, switching up your flies, and making sure your flies are in the strike zone, but the fish still aren't cooperating. Do you just go home and chalk this day up as a learning experience? Or are there some super secret tactics that you can deploy when the fishing honestly just sucks? This week on Untangled, we'll lay out what we do when we run into tough days, and we'll give you some tools and knowledge to help you make the most of your next challenging day out on the water. This is Untangled, fly fishing for everyone, presented by Ventures Fly Co. Hey everybody, welcome to it. This is Untangled, and I am your host, Spencer Durant, back at a VFC HQ like I promised I would be in the last episode, and like I also promised, Mr. Alex Stolz is with us this week.
Howdy.
And a little programming note for y'all. Alex is actually going to be on Untangled once a month from here on out. Now, his people and my people, they got together, they hammered out the agreement, and somehow, I'm not sure, they found the cash. They dug through the couch cushions, and I know they raided the piggy bank. That's gone, by the way. But we got the cash to get this son of a gun on the show 12 times a year, at least, I think. There was a little addendum in the contract that as needed, he might be on the show.
You can afford $5 a year?
Well, our people found a way, all right? So I would just like to welcome you formally, Alex, to your semi-permanent hosting role opposite the podcast host who, according to one YouTube comment we got last week, they said, well, all that Durant guy does is just sit there and talk for the whole thing. Now, Alex, I'm not the smartest fellow in the world. You agree with that?
100%.
Yeah, you spend enough time with me. You see my...
I've seen a thing or two.
Yeah. But last I checked, a podcast host is supposed to just sit and talk, right?
Affirmative.
That's what you hired me to do. That's literally my job description, correct?
That would be correct.
All right. So screw that guy then, I guess. I don't I don't know. Like, that comment was so out of the blue. I just had to, I couldn't resist roasting that on the show. But speaking of roasting things, we're going to roast myself and maybe Alex a little bit, but mostly me.
It's both of us.
Talking about what do you do when the fishing sucks? How do you handle that? And as luck would have it, we were out fishing this week. And Alex, how was the fishing?
Suboptimal.
It sucked. It was, I think that was the worst day we've had all year, wasn't it? Or the worst couple of days.
Yeah, day 2 was one of the worst we've had for sure.
Yeah, it was awful. So we were actually out filming. Do we want to tell them what we were filming? We're going to drop that deet.
Yeah, do it.
So we were filming the Big River Crash Course. If you've seen what's the title of that one? Is it just Fly Fishing Crash Course or Beginner?
Yeah, Fly Fishing Crash Course.
Fly Fishing Crash Course. Thank you. Where we walked you through every skill you needed to fly fish and then showed what they all looked like out on the water. We're doing the same thing with this Big River Crash Course. How do you tackle these big rivers? Because that's something we've heard a lot from folks recently.
Yeah, we have a lot of anglers that fish small streams quite often. And so jumping to those bigger rivers, and we're talking like 50, 60, 100-yard wide rivers.
Yeah.
It's intimidating. So what we tried to do was give you the bare basics of what you would need to go out and feel more comfortable and have a system or a game plan to tackle those bigger rivers.
Yeah. And we were hoping to get some great fishing so that we could show some of the stuff. Now, as it happens, we're going to have to go back and film some more. But we show up first day, perfect weather. And I wasn't even late. I was on time. Alex left his house on time, which never happens.
Never.
And we meet up. We're cruising up to the river. Bluebird day. There is not a cloud in the daggum sky. It's just, if you painted a fall fishing day, this would be it. And we picked this river again because it's big, but there's also some nice big fish in it. And I haven't caught a big fish this year. And by big,
Yeah,
big's
what's the definition?
big's all relative, right?
Yeah.
So for where we live and where we fish, we're lucky that we've got a lot of really big trout. And I would say trout over 22, 23 inches. We've got a lot of those available to us to catch. But
And it's rare.
yeah, it's not, it doesn't happen every time you go out, but they're there. And if you put the work in, you're going to get them. But I don't think I've even broke 20 this year, which is really weird. I don't remember the last time that's happened because I've been out, I've fished a lot, I've fished hard. Now there was that real big one the morning after we saw that black bear. We were on the river and this black bear jumped out of the bushes. It was like, "Rawr!" And Alex crapped himself. I didn't. I was like, "Dude, come here, I'll pet you and we'll be like best friends. You'll be my fishing companion." And then he took off. The bear did, not Alex. Alex stayed.
It's a good thing you don't write history textbooks.
Oh, why is that? Are you telling me that I'm not telling the story of how it happened?
And then he hopped on the bear and he rode it. It was awesome.
I mean, I was about to until you scared it
All
away.
right, get back to the big fish.
I think that fish, that big brown that I missed in that pool right after the bear.
Oh, you were calling that over 20?
I think so.
I never saw it. I was behind you filming. So.
Yeah. It jumped and spat my hook. And then luckily, I don't think there was any audio going because I was very unhappy. But anyways, I haven't caught a big fish yet this year. So we thought we'll get this Big River Crash Course filmed. Give me an opportunity to get into a big fish. So I was going to chuck some streamers, really move a nice big fish. I'm doing that. Water's off color though. It's kind of nasty and dirty. There's boatload of moss floating down the river as well.
Yeah, it's almost like the moss was turning over. I mean, that's a Stillwater term, but it was like breaking down as we shift from summer to fall to winter. And so there was just a lot of chunks floating, and it had this like green brown tint to it.
It was no good.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with the moss. Alex is rowing. We were in our boat too, by the way. We took the boat out, and about 10:30-ish.
Yeah.
We start seeing some bugs. We pull up to one of our favorite spots. We start seeing some bugs coming off.
Which we don't see bugs on this river very often.
No.
Like dry flies, like
huge
adult
hatches.
mayflies on the water and fish are rising. I was so excited because that doesn't happen very often on this river.
They were acting like they were Henry's Fork trout. Just rising to everything in existence. And like Henry's Fork trout, we were having a hard time catching them too. I caught the smallest fish I've ever caught on that river, a little 5-inch brown trout.
It's impressive in and of itself.
I held it up to Alex, was like, "Look," and he just laughed.
Yeah, we're like, those are the ones that the big fish are eating.
Yeah, they were. So then we get into position, though, where some bigger fish were rising. We could see some big heads coming up on the other side. So I hop in the boat and row Alex over there. And Alex, why don't you tell the people what happened?
Yeah, so we looked over the other side. There's fish rising, and they're pretty close to the bank. And it's slower moving water. So we were worried that if we tried to wade out to them or even stood on the bank, that the fish would spook. So Spencer hops in the boat. He rows us around below them, probably like 40 feet, 50 feet below them?
Yeah, not too far below them, yeah.
So we're below him. And then the softest rowing strokes you've ever seen, gets me into position. I'm in the front of the boat. And I had, what did you tie on that rig? Double dry fly?
Yeah, it was a size 18 parachute blue winged olive with a, you caught it on the sparkle done, right?
No,
Oh yeah,
spoiler alert.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a sparkle done on originally.
Yeah, I think it was a 16 parachute blue wing and then an 18 sparkle done.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So a double dry fly rig. And first cast, man, how good was that cast?
It was a great cast.
It was so good. I landed it 3-4 feet in front of the fish where it was rising, went right over its nose, nothing.
In fact, as soon as that fly passed it, it rose and ate a real fly.
Yeah.
So
needed to do a little bit of troubleshooting because I probably threw 3 or 4 more casts and they just ignored it. But they were still rising, so we didn't spook them.
No, they just knew that fly wasn't real, so they just were not going to eat it.
So I dug through my box, and one of the things that we talk about on this on the show and at VFC in general is that size is the most important thing when it comes to fly selection.
Yes.
So the first step was, and what size tippet and leader did we have on there?
We started with 5 and then we stepped down to 6 because the water was so low. These fish are rising in maybe 8 inches of water, if that.
Yeah.
It was really low, really clear, and not moving very fast. So when that happens, the fish, any little subtle stuff on the surface, fish are going to see that, pick up on it.
Yeah, so size is the most important. They didn't really have much interest in the parachute, which was a 16. They maybe looked at the sparkle dun. I mean, it's a sparkle dun, so they at least looked at it.
Oh, they looked at it and they said, "Oh, I know what that is," and then they scampered.
So I had an even smaller cripple pattern. It was a size 20. It was an olive color, and I think it was probably a 10-foot leader at that point. It was just a standard 9-foot leader that we pulled out of the package. We added like 1 or 2 feet of 5X. I added another foot of 6X tippet because this fly was so small and I wanted it to be really delicate presentation. So I tied on that size 20 cripple, first cast, and I did a single dry fly as well because when you have 2 dry flies sometimes on those double dry fly rigs, it can promote drag.
Yep.
So I wanted no drag, 6X tippet, small fly, threw it up there, first cast. This big old head comes up, snacks on it. I set the hook, didn't screw anything up. We put a really nice 19-inch.
Oh, I was going to call it 17.
Okay. We'll go 18. We'll go right in the middle. It was an 18-inch cutty, but it was thick. Like it was a football. You know those fish that when you try and put your hand around it, you can only put like half of your hand around the whole fish. It was one of those. I'll throw some footage in the video podcast if you're watching of me holding the fish. It was really pretty too.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So Alex gets that gorgeous fish, and I think, okay, I'm set. I'm going to get my big one, right?
And that was just teeing up a perfect day, right? Like there's blue wings out. Yeah. We caught a big fish. We're seeing other big fish rising.
Yep.
Spencer loves dry flies.
You think everything's going to go great. So we switch spots. I get up to the front of the boat. I start casting. And it was an absolute whole lot of nothing. The fish, they must have been spooked. They just didn't want that fly anymore. And I switched up a couple of times. I ended up throwing a cripple on. I put a sparkle dun back on. They just didn't want anything. I stung one other fish. It came up and rose, and I set the hook a little too quickly. But it wasn't that big of a fish either when it rose. I could see it was kind of small. So we unfortunately packed up, floated down from that section. And I thought, all right, the hatch is kind of tapered off. I'm going to just chuck streamers for a little bit. Because again, off-color water, it's fall. You think, oh, streamers are going to be great this time of year. They're going to move fish.
Yeah, it's pre-spawn. It was calling for streamers.
And between snagging moss on every cast, and it was super bright and sunny, which is really not great streamer conditions for fall. When the water gets low, you want some cloud cover, some overcast.
Yeah, I guess that was working against us.
But still, we should have at least moved a fish or two on the streamer, and we didn't. So we end up throwing on a nymph rig, and we start nymphing all these runs. And we go to runs that produce, that always have fish stacked in them. We work them hard. Nothing.
Like we threw the egg bomber, we threw the demon midge. Like these are patterns that we fish this river enough. We know what time of year like these patterns start working real well. Nothing.
Nada. And we caught something on nymphs that day, right? I caught a couple whitefish.
Yeah, we caught nothing. Because whitefish don't count.
Oh, okay. Whitefish don't count. Never mind. Well, I caught 2 fish, and there were some whitefish. And then right before we took the boat out, there were a bunch of risers, and we were trying to cast to them again. But I didn't catch any of those.
Yeah, props to Spencer. He worked probably a good 100 yards of river with rising fish.
Yeah.
And just nothing. Like they didn't even look at your fly.
Well, and if I got within 30 yards of them, they quit rising sometimes too. It was nuts. So it was a hard day. We fished. We caught that one nice cutthroat, my dinky little 5-inch brown, and then those 2 whitefish. That was it. It was an okay day, but we thought, all right, we'll go back. We'll go back the next day. We'll go back. I think that was a Tuesday. So we'll go back Wednesday and we will put the work in. We'll catch something nice. So that's what we do. We get up there, we get to the river.
And we were anticipating the hatch, right?
So we showed up earlier because we wanted to get to good water before the hatch started. We were going to film a little bit, fish the hatch, and then wrap our filming up. And 10 o'clock rolls around. There's no bugs.
None.
11 o'clock rolls around. There's no bugs.
Nada.
And the day before, if you remember, the hatch came off at about 10:30, 11, and went until about 2?
Yeah, like 1:32.
1:32, yeah.
And it was a thick hatch.
Yeah, there were bugs. They're going up my nose. You know, they were everywhere. Noon rolls around. There was like 2 midges. Maybe. And a trico. I think 2 midges and a trico, just for Alex, because he loves tricos so much.
It was an omen. We should have just left.
So no bugs are coming off, and the water's still the same. It's still murky. It's still nasty. I barely even want to take our boat in it because I'm worried it's going to dirty our boat up too much. So the nymphing was still really unproductive because we'd nymph and we'd either catch moss or we just wouldn't catch fish at all. It was just kind of bizarre.
And based off the bad experience from the day before, we didn't even chuck streamers. It was just too bright. We just didn't have any faith in it.
No, we didn't. And we had a lot of filming to do, so we knock out as much of that as we possibly can. And we get back in the boat, and I decided, you know what? Since the fishing sucks so much, I'm just going to row Alex around. And I'm gonna practice my rowing for a little bit, and we'll see if we can't get Alex into a fish or two. And he was throwing that nymph rig for a good, hour or so? And you ended up with that one brown on the nymph rig.
It was about 2 hours, and we were hitting every single hole that just looked so fishy and nothing for those 2 hours. And right at the end, we hooked into
it was like a 12-inch brown.
12-inch brown. It was super pretty, though. Like
it was.
The little pumpkin spice browns you get this time of year. And I was happy because it had been about 2 hours without a fish. So,
and then we ended with this big flat with some more risers, but they were all small risers, and they were all extremely picky. And I caught that was probably a good half-mile river of rising fish. And I caught one, and it was an 11-inch cutthroat. So, but it ate my sparkle dun, so that counts for like 5 fish, right? A cutthroat eating a sparkle dun in the West, that counts for like 5. That's at least 5 brown trout from Pennsylvania or, whatever. No shots fired, right? No, it was a good fish. So we end the day. We pull the boat in the ramp. Whole lot of nothing, really. I think 2 or 3 trout that second day, 4 fish the first day. So less than 10 fish over 2 days on a river where we can usually put quite a few fish in the net. Slowest day I think I've ever had there, to be honest.
Super pretty, like fun evening, fun afternoon. It was really quiet out there. It was beautiful. Got to practice our rowing.
And I mean, who doesn't love practicing their rowing? Let's be honest.
I do.
Yeah, I know you do. That's why I bring you along.
See, this is something. So I'm very new to rowing drift boats. I've never done it except for this year. And so something that I've learned is how fun it is to row someone into a fish.
Yeah.
Because it feels like teamwork. I mean, when me and Spencer, when we go wade fish, like I'm standing next to Spencer sometimes and we'll like talk about what fly we're going to use and he'll cast up there and catch a fish and I help him net it.
I'll be like, hey, Alex, watch this. And he'll be like, oh my gosh, again, I'm just trying to fish.
But the drip boat's fun because it feels like I'm like got to sit there and hold you in place while you're chucking this dry fly. It just feels a lot like teamwork. So that's something I've enjoyed that I didn't expect.
It was good. It was good to get that experience. So what do we learn from getting our butts kicked, Alex? Do we just not go fishing anymore? Is that what we learned? Because honestly, after day 2, I was ready to throw the towel in. I was ready to sell my rods and retire. No, I wasn't quite that ready, but I was scratching my head. All kidding aside,
Yeah.
I was seriously scratching my head, wondering like, what would I have done differently? What could we have done because it was so tough? And the river just had this feeling of, it's hard to describe, but I've been fishing long enough. I think other folks who fished long enough can probably corroborate this. You get to a river sometimes and it just feels fishy. Feels like there's going to be something that's going to happen, right?
Which is how I felt when we showed up.
Yes, I felt that same way. And then that was quickly dashed, very quickly dashed, because as soon as we got on the water, we saw how dirty it was, how much moss was still floating in it. We realized, man, I don't know, this could be really rough. And it just felt like we were fighting a losing battle the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of frustrating, but it really was. So that's where our mindset is. We're sitting in the truck, we're driving back, we're going to get some burritos from a sketchy Mexican restaurant. Just hoping that we don't get food poisoning again or something like that.
Only the finest.
Yeah.
In the rural West.
Yeah. But what could we have done differently, Alex?
Well, that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
If we had to go back there tomorrow, what would be the game plan?
To not to?
Yeah.
Let's just go somewhere else.
That's explain that, because that is an interesting point. So when we first started VFC, I was out filming with Berkeley, and we were trying to make a video about the starter packs. And for the video, for this certain footage, we needed to find fish. Like, we needed to catch them. And it was about this time of year. It was it was like September, but we drove, I want to say it was like 1,000 miles. I think we went to like 8 rivers, and the conditions on every single river were just rough. And then we went back 2 weeks later to one of those rivers that we had fished before that was just terrible. It was like the experience we've had the last 2 days, and the fishing was lights out. So that's something that I have realized over the last few years, is how important it is to hit the rivers at the right time of year, because you'll have a completely different experience at one time of the year versus the other.
Oh, 100% you will. And yeah, you really will.
So you're saying go somewhere else. Like if we were to go fishing tomorrow, you wouldn't go there.
No, not with the water quality the way it is. I'd go somewhere else. But honestly, what I think we could have done differently, and I don't know, when the fishing sucks like this, I don't know there's anything we could have done differently, honestly, on that river. I've thought about it quite a bit. Maybe the only thing we could have done was fish bigger nymphs instead in that stained water.
Let me read. So this is funny. Spencer sends me the fishing report for this section of the river, and what was it, the night after we got back?
Yeah, it was the night after we got back. One of the local fly shops updated the fishing report. And
I'm pulling it up.
It was different from our experience.
The fishing below the dam has been some of the best in the area. This is still moss and grass. There is still moss and grass in the water, but it seems to be thinning out a bit. The vegetation is giving the water a slight tint, allowing us to find success with some bigger bugs. During the warmer parts of the day, we are still seeing a few BWOs and caddis, but not much surface activity. Mayfly and caddis nymphs, along with scuds and crayfish, have all been good. Now is the time to do some streamer fishing in the area with a little color in the water and big, aggressive pre-spawn browns.
See, I called bullcrap on that report because I didn't see a single caddis. I saw midges and blue wings the whole time. So that's why I'm not really putting a lot of stock into that fishing report.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think when you said that to me. I was like, you know what it reminded me of? Our last conversation about becoming a great angler.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, they just must be greater.
Yeah.
It's the continuum. They're further on the continuum of greatness than we are.
Apparently they were. Well, and I don't know if I told you about this, but I got a buddy that lives up by that river, and I actually called him that night that we got back and said, "Hey, have you fished the river at all lately?" And he said, "Yeah, it kind of sucks right now. The moss is really bad. Some of the guides are getting into fish, but not really very many at all. It's just not good fishing."
All right, that's good to know.
So I said, So is the fly shop lying to me or is my buddy lying to me? Which one? Who's lying here? Because someone ain't telling the truth. Or are they telling the truth?
Maybe we're just not that good.
I don't know.
I don't know what we would have done different, though.
The only thing I can think of is throwing a little bit bigger bug to make a bigger silhouette.
That makes sense.
In that stained water and just...
Like, what would you have thrown? Like bigger streamers, bigger nymphs?
Bigger nymphs, because other than the egg bomber, we didn't throw a big nymph.
I was throwing the San Juan worm, dude.
Well, that's kind of small, though.
That's like a fish magnet.
No, it's
Nothing.
not. No. The San Juan worm is the admission that you can't catch fish on flies. That's what the San Juan is. No, that's really the only thing I would have done. But when the fishing sucks like this, and you've gone through your box and you've scratched your head, you don't have the benefit of hindsight like we do now. We can sit here and try and armchair quarterback what we would have done. I think that you really have to remember two things when the water gets this tough. First thing you got to do is you got to take what the river gives you. And in our case, the river was giving us dry fly fishing. It wasn't consistent. It was very sporadic all day, but there were opportunities to catch fish on dry flies. And even though they were mostly tiny fish that were rising, except for your big cutty, we took advantage of that, right?
Yeah, and to emphasize this point, we don't fish dry flies on this river.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's so rare to see good fishing like that.
It felt really weird sitting there with a dry fly rod as we floated down the river.
In October.
Yeah.
And I was wearing a short sleeve shirt the whole time too because it was too hot. So you got to take what the river gives you. You got to be willing to do that. Take what the river's going to give you and just work with that, okay? So see what options there are. And if there's no dry fly action, if you get into something like that, then the other thing that you've got to do when the fishing sucks is you've got to be relentless about the best water. Now, Alex was that way with the nymph rig. I gave up on the nymph rig because I was catching so much moss. It was just frustrating. And I'd say, I would rather just cast to the rising fish we see and not nymph. Alex wanted a nymph. He runs through with that nymph rig for that 2-hour stretch, and he finally put that brown in the net. And he rode me the first day I was still willing to nymph. He rode me into to catch 2 whitefish or 1 in that run. I think I got 1.
1, yeah.
One whitefish in that run. But he rode me into it, and it was like a 200-yard drift.
Yeah,
and he's cranking on the oars to keep it all right. And I'm throwing mends to keep the drift going, and I finally got the 1 on the nymph rig. But the point is, we were being relentless about fishing the good water, fishing the places where, all right, a fish is 99% going to be here, and if they're here, if I just am relentless enough about it, I should be able to catch one eventually. And that's really what you got to do when the fishing's that tough and that frustrating.
I totally agree. It's a lot of resilience. Don't get me wrong. I was discouraged the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
During that 2 hours. Like, we would get to one of those fantastic looking runs, and I mean, any other time of year that we fish this river, it's pulling out a fish.
Yeah, we'd have been into fish left and right.
And instead of catching fish, we're catching moss. So you got to pull it out, clean it off, chuck it in, pull it out, clean it off, chuck it in, pull it out, clean it off, chuck it. Like,
it's a great shoulder workout. That's why I'm so jacked. Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. You just got to be relentless. You got to just fish the best water
and fish it well.
Take what the river gives you,
yeah.
man.
Now, my 2 cents to wrap this up before we move on in the show this week. Sometimes you're going to get skunked. And we would have been skunked. I definitely would have been skunked. Alex wouldn't have because he stuck with the nymphing. But I would have been if I hadn't tied on the dry flies and gone after those smaller fish. I would have got skunked. But when the fishing gets really brutal, after a point, for me, it almost feels kind of pointless. And it got there on the second day. I think after I caught that 11-inch cutthroat on a dry fly, and then we floated through a half mile of rising fish, and they all refused everything I had, I was just like, you know what? We're out for a float. I'm fine. I'll look for the wildlife. We saw a fox. We saw 3 or 4 bald eagles. It was a great time. I'll just do that. And I'm fine to just not fish and just because at that point, it almost feels like there's not even a puzzle for me to solve anymore. It feels like they took all the puzzle pieces away and went home. And I'm just out there like, oh, where's this edge piece go? But there's no other edge piece to click it into, right? It's kind of hard to describe, and hopefully I'm describing it well, but it does feel pointless after a while when the fishing is so tough and it's clear that they're just not going to play. Everything else is stacked against you. And at that point, I'm fine to just leave the river, go grab some grub, and think things through like we're doing now, and then just go back and wait. I'm fine to do that. And sometimes I think you've got to be willing to take those lumps and move on from the river. But I have a suspicion that Alex doesn't agree with that.
I 85% agree with it.
Okay, 85. What's the 15 that you think I'm full of it on?
I think it depends on what your goal is. If you're out there to just enjoy fly fishing as a whole, I agree that sometimes you just got to enjoy nature and being out there with a friend and seeing the pretty sunset and hanging out and having a good time.
Cold Diet Coke in the cooler.
Cold Diet Coke Zero. Yeah, so if that's your goal, sweet. But if you're trying to level up your fly fishing skills and you're trying to achieve a greater level of fish catching ability, I think you got to push through. You got to be relentless. I also agree, though, that fish on the squirmy worm did kind of feel like luck.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like put your flies in front of fish and make them look real.
Which is what you did.
Maybe you just haven't put your flies in front of enough fish.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took that 100th cast for me to finally get a fish to cooperate.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if you're trying to like develop your resilience muscle.
Which mine's atrophied a little bit living. All these Utah fish were so easy to catch that I just got so used to it.
And in the last, in that, I keep referring to that greatness episode, but the positive feedback loop that I've gotten where right at the end of the day, after I've grinded all day and I've been relentless and I catch that big fish right at the end, that's just the cherry on top where
so it just makes calling that 11-inch brown big?
No, I'm not saying. That made it way better. I'm not going to lie. Like,
it did. It took the sting out of the day for sure.
It did take, a little bit of this thing. It was still a rough day. Like quote unquote, it sucked.
Yeah.
But I think if your goal is to keep leveling up your skills, sometimes you got to just keep at it.
Yeah, I think you do.
And if you don't get skunked, it's just proof that you've leveled up your skills.
Or that you got lucky. And I'd rather...
We'll let you decide.
I'd rather feel like I got the fish than just got lucky. I think that's what it comes down to for me. But it's just two different approaches. So there's nothing wrong with it. But that's what you got to do when the fishing sucks. So hopefully y'all enjoyed hearing about that and you'll learn something from this. If you got any other tips on what to do when the fishing sucks or you got any questions about what we talked about, please drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you and love to chat with you about that. But it is time now for the Q&A section of this week's show.
And we got something special, something spicy.
Something a little bit different. Now, every week on Untangled, we do answer questions from listeners and viewers. So if you've got a fly fishing question, please send those on in. There's links to do that in the show notes or right here on the screen if you're watching the video podcast. However, this week, we did things slightly differently with the questions that we took. And Alex, why don't you go ahead, if you don't mind, and introduce what we did this week?
So we have an online community, an online school group. It's the VFC school group. And it's essentially, I think you describe it so much better than I do, though.
Yeah.
How would you describe school?
It's like Facebook, but it doesn't suck. There's no politics. There's no stupid memes from your Aunt Karen. There's no third cousin like nosing into your business like, did you vaccinate your baby? Is that why she doesn't look right? You know, you don't have to deal with that crap, okay? It's just fishermen being bros, okay? It's just dudes being guys, and there's girls too. But it's just anglers chatting about fish, flies, rods, reels, sometimes Diet Coke and wings. And if that doesn't sound like a good time, then, I mean, shut this podcast off because obviously you're the wrong audience for us.
Yeah.
How's that? Did I describe it well enough, Alex?
Well, it's a little aggressive, but yeah, a lot of people learning how to fly fish, a lot of intermediate anglers in there, a lot of advanced anglers in there,
Yes.
posting pictures, sharing about trips that they've been on. My favorite posts in the group are when somebody goes out to the river and they learn something new and they make a whole post about it and they have pictures to back it up. I love those. I learn from those all the time. So, if you want to join the school group, we'll put a link here on the screen or in the video or podcast description. And it's honestly a fun place to hang out. And you can chat with me and Spencer. That's where we answer a lot of questions one-on-one.
Spend a little bit of time there. And that's where we got these questions this week. We pulled them from the school group instead of the emailed ones. And I think we're going to do this every time you're on the show, right?
Yeah, we're going to put up a post in school that's like, here's the question, what questions do you have for Untangled? And we'll go through that and we'll answer those questions.
And then the other 3 episodes of the month, we're still going to answer the emailed ones. So keep sending those emailed ones in. We need them. They run the show. And we've got, 6, 7 questions here. We're just going to run through them. I don't know if we're going to get to all of them, but we will see how many we can get to. We're just going to answer them here as quickly as possible.
As much time as we've got left.
Yep. So let's start out. Jeremy Neal went ahead and wrote in. He said, I would love to hear discussion about different flies that imitate the same bug. When in the fly shop, we see so many Caddis variations or PMD variations, but when should we stray away from the tried and true elk hair and Adams? Are the other patterns good for certain situations, or is it more about the art of fly tying? Well, Jeremy, I mean, I could sell you an elk hair caddis, but why would I sell you an elk hair caddis when I can sell you 5 different kinds of elk hair caddis, okay? Because then that's more cheddar in my wallet at the end of the day. So that's really why the variations of fly exist.
How do you think they afforded getting me on the podcast?
Exactly. Right? No, it feels that way sometimes, and a lot of the flies are gimmicks, 100%. But there are some times when the fish are going to prefer a more realistic-looking bug versus more the impressionistic-looking bug. The elk hair caddis, it's a great caddis imitation, but I wouldn't say that it's a hyper-realistic caddis imitation. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
But there are some caddis dry flies out there that look much more like the real thing. And depending on where you're fishing, how picky the fish are, what kind of hatch is coming off, you might need a bug that's a bit more of a close match to the real thing versus just trying to generally resemble it in size and shape and color.
Yeah, I actually learned that this summer. We have 2 patterns here at VFC. One is the elk hair caddis and one is the puff caddis, which is just like a CDC style caddis. It uses CDC feathers, and that's what the wings are made out of. And I was fishing a caddis hatch, and the fish were going absolutely bananas, and they wouldn't touch an elk hair caddis, which kind of blew my mind because that's the go-to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I switched over to the puff caddis, and first cast I caught a fish. Second cast I caught a fish. Third cast I caught a fish. And after I got done fishing, I was thinking through, like, why could that have been the case? Like, why weren't they eating the elk hair, but they were eating the puff caddis? And I think it comes down to exactly what you were saying.
Yep.
It's way more realistic. It looks like a caddis on the water. Like, there was real caddis buzzing by my fly, and they looked very similar.
Yeah.
I also think it comes down to functionality. Elk hairs, I feel very confident fishing those in very rough water, like pocket water. That's a great choice. The puff caddis sucks in pocket water. It gets waterlogged very easily, so I have to pull out the
dry shake.
Yeah, the dry shake and shake it off every once in a while, and it doesn't hold the nymph up very well. So now my go-to for realistic, slow-moving water when the fish are a little more picky is the puff caddis versus the elk hair caddis is when it's just the go-to. So that's how I would explain it.
No, and I think that's great. I don't think I have anything to add to that one. So it really just comes down to functionality of what you're looking to do. And then I said I didn't have anything to add. There's one more thing. Some of the variations that you'll see of those bugs in The fly shops are going to be emergers or cripples. So they're going to represent different life cycle stages as well of that bug. It's not just always representing the adult. So that's the other thing to keep in mind too. And I have the most varied collection of flies when it comes to my blue-winged olive flies. I've got a few different emerger patterns, a few different dun patterns, a few different cripple patterns, just because and some fish might want a different one than other fish. It really just depends on what the fish are wanting. So when you have more options in your box, you can more closely match what the fish are actually snacking on. So I don't think there's anything else to add on that one now. I think we covered it.
All right, next question. We've got Dave Mailer. I would like to know how you decide which way to fish, say Euro, indicator, nymph, or streamer when you are just seeing the river from the car and don't want to carry several rods along with you. So I think Spencer's in the same boat as me. I'm a one-rod warrior. I don't like carrying multiple fly rods with me on the river.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's annoying. First off, I'm worried I'm going to leave it on the bank, and then in the middle of the night, I'm going to wake up in a panic and go, my fly rod's sitting on the bank.
And if you want to see evidence of Alex leaving something on the bank, just go check out our How We Fish Spring Edition video from earlier this year, where Alex was trying to net a rather large, impressive brown trout. And Alex, where was your net?
Not in my hip pack.
It was like a half-mile downriver. It was where we'd started fishing that day. He left it down there.
Yeah. So I've got that working against me. And I don't Euro nymph very much, so that's not an option for me. That's harder because you're using like a 10-foot 3 weight usually. So that does merit a pretty specific rod. I don't fish streamers that much. When I do, I mean, I'll use a 5 or a 6 weight.
Yeah, you fish them on a 5 just fine, especially on smaller rivers.
What I will bring is I have one reel, but I have 2 spools. One spool is floating line. One spool is a sink tip line. So if I want to fish streamers, I'll just switch the spool on my reel over to the sink tip, but it's the same weight line as the floating line, so I can use it on the same rod.
Yeah, and that's a good way to roll with it. As far as deciding which way that you're going to fish, I mean, it really just comes down to how you want to cover the water. There's no Euro nymphing is not inherently better than indicator nymphing, which is not inherently better than a dry dropper or a streamer. It all just comes down to how you want to fish. Now, sometimes the fish might be really on the streamer. We're getting into that season where they really will be keyed in on eating streamers and eating those bait fish and leech imitations. But even on those days, you can still do work on the dry dropper. It just boils down to how you want to fish.
Yeah, and it might be like winter. If you have your specialized dry fly rod, might not be the best choice unless there's a really cool Mitch hatch coming off. But I would say most of the time you're using your 5 weight or your 6 weight and you're throwing your heavy nymph rig. So
yeah, so it really, I think it's a little bit of overthinking. You know, just fish the way that you want to fish and just make it work based on that. So awesome. Our next question is from Spencer Jones. Says, best winter flies and cold weather tips. What do you got?
Boy, do we have a surprise for you. Spencer, what you been working on?
What have I been working on?
You've been editing something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Winter Fly Fishing Master. I completely forgot. Winter Fly Fishing Masterclass.
Yeah, that's why I threw this in here. I just wanted a little teaser.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, you're going to learn all about the best winter flies and cold weather tips for staying warm and fishing in the cold from our Winter Fly Fishing Masterclass, which debuts
the 9th
of November?
Yeah, 9th of November. It's November like 9th? A 6-part series.
Yes.
So we go through everything. Like
literally everything.
Flies, rigs, warm clothes.
And at one point, Alex is in sandals and board shorts in the snow.
And so a Hawaiian shirt.
You are not going to want to miss this incredible bit of, honestly, if we don't get an Emmy for that, then I don't think, I think the award system is completely rigged against us at that point. At some point, and I'm sure, look, we had someone listening to this show who was real high up and in some places. I can't say who they are just for, anonymity's sake, but they're kind of famous. We got famous people listening to this show. I know there's somebody who's got to tie in with the Emmys somehow. So frickin' get us nominated. I want that hardware because we deserve it. I don't care who you are. All right. I'm funnier than crap. Alex puts up with me. Okay. So let's reward us for our hard work. Not just anybody can sit down at a desk and spew excellence for 45 minutes or however long we've been going for.
42 and a half minutes.
Okay, 42 and a half minutes that we've been going for.
All right, so I don't want to just leave you hanging though. We'll give you a couple tips. So put your flies in front of fish, make them look real. That's one of our taglines here at VFC. So put your flies in front of fish. During the winter, fish are going to move out of the riffles. They're going to move out of that faster water, and they're going to congregate in the slower, deeper water. And then make them look real. You're not going to really see caddis or stoneflies during the winter. It's usually midges, it's worms, it's scuds, sow bugs, and eggs. So if you're chucking patterns that are along those lines and you're fishing that slower, deeper water, that's the key to winter fly fishing and staying warm, which...
Merino wool is your best friend.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like me, you just don't go out during the winter because you hate it. So...
Well, you still fish in the winter.
I do occasionally when the fishing's good and it doesn't suck.
Yeah, when I force you to get out. But no, wear good wool socks, merino wool long johns. Those will be your best friend in the winter fishing. So, but that is coming on out.
I have a good one for you.
All right, what
Mike
you got?
Miller. I would like Spencer to list out his top 5 flavors of wing sauce.
Do I really have to answer this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The people want it.
I guess. We got another YouTube comment about someone said that they hate Diet Coke and wings. That was the only thing the comment said.
What a sad life.
I know. So but I don't know if the people don't want to hear about it.
They do.
Okay. No. Favorite wing sauce, classic buffalo has got to be at the top of the list. If it ain't buffalo, I don't want it. I don't think I have 5.
I was going to say buffalo, 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 and then your 5th one.
Garlic parm.
Yeah.
No, if you've got a buffalo, any kind of garlic buffalo sauce, I'll also take. That's really good. There's a place in Utah, Rocky Mountain Wing Shack. A little shout out to them. They do a great garlic pepper sauce. I could drink that stuff by the gallon.
He does.
You don't get this figure not doing that. A good garlic parm, but it's got to be good. If it's too heavy or rich, then it just makes me feel gross. Wingers does a sweet, spicy sauce called their Rebel sauce, which I really like. It's super sticky, though. So it gets all over my beard, and I feel like I'm 2 years old again, washing my face off. And then, I think that's really kind of it. I'm not a big fan of barbecue wings. So, classic buffalo, garlic pepper.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Keep it simple.
Brandon
says he loves every podcast. You're darn right you do, Brandon. No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. The information has literally made me a better angler. I'd love to hear more about the new VFC 6-weight rod. Is there an approximate release date? Will a reel with 6-weight fly line be available with it? I'm in the market for a 6-weight, and based on my experience with the fly flinger, I'm definitely interested in the next VFC rod. I'd also love to hear more about how to use it with streamers on both rivers and still water. And then he threw up doesn't this rock on?
Yeah.
It's rock on, dude. So there you go. All right, Alex, what you got for us? You're head of product.
I'm part of the product team. Yeah, we're a pretty small team, right? So we've got Berkeley and Devin. They're the head honchos in the product department.
Yep. They run the day-to-day there.
They're actually, this just shows how dedicated they are. They're doing a machining program right now to learn how to use CNC machines so that we can start making reels at some point.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool. But we have a lot of cool stuff in the works for 2026 and beyond. One thing I've learned, dude, making products is hard and it takes way longer than you think it will.
Yes, it does.
So just as an example, our fly tying mega kit, we came out with version 1 2024, I think.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's 25. I thought it was 23 is when it dropped.
I don't know. It was a while ago. So we came out with version 1 of the fly tying mega kit, which was a vise, tools, all the materials you need to start tying flies all in one bundle. It's like our starter packs, but for fly tying. And we came out with version 1, and it was great. A lot of people bought it, and they enjoyed it. It helped a lot of people start tying flies. But there were a couple. We just wanted to improve it. We got a lot of great feedback from those people on how to make it better, especially the vise. So we stopped selling that, and we went into product development mode and research, and Berkeley and Devin started doing the machining program so that we could learn how to make a freaking awesome vise. And so that has been in the works for a year and a half, 2 years. And we have a wait list for that. I'll put it in the description or here on the screen. But a lot of people have been asking about it, and we get emails every day asking about it. And I just want to say, like, we're working on it. And believe me, we're the most impatient when it comes to
We're so ready for the vise to be done because we want y'all to be able to use it.
Yeah. And we wanted to make every product here at VFC amazing. So the term we use around here is undeniably awesome. You just use it and you're like, this is great. So the same ideals that we have for the mega kit is going into fly rods. So we do want to come out with some new fly rods. One of the questions we get all the time is like, I have this beginner rod. I have this budget rod. I want to upgrade. That's air quotes, upgrade. And so we've tried to solve that problem, and we've been working on it. All of 2025, we were testing these rods, and you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we got a whole bunch and put them together and went and threw them at fish. Took them on a lot of big stonefly fishing days, chucked streamers with them, chucked dry flies with them. In fact, I was throwing the 5-weight prototype at those fish on the trip we were just talking about, and I was throwing extremely good casts, and I'm a middling caster at best, so the rod was really working well for us at that point. So yeah, we really just put them through their paces, and we just picked out colors, and we picked out the reel seats, and we got custom cork grips getting made for us. They're not just off the shelf, and prototypes, final prototypes should be here
soon
within the month. We hope. And
but
then
again, like I could tell you, we hope they come out in April, May, June. Like it always takes longer than we think it will.
But if we say it now, then they'll hold us to it, and then it has to come out.
We'll manifest it into existence.
Exactly.
No, I'm so against that.
They're dropping in June regardless, no matter what.
So I hope they will be released sometime in 2026, but we'll keep you posted.
Probably June, though.
If you're in the school group, that's where we post a lot of updates on products, and we even had people in the school group help us name some of the rods. So
yep,
yeah,
so there's a lot of fun stuff. Awesome. So yeah, 6-weight will be here hopefully sometime next year. Mike Hall's got our next question. He says, "Hey there, love the podcast. What about tying your own leaders? Why would you tie your own leaders? What to expect from tying your own leaders, and some examples and recipes of leaders. Thanks, I appreciate all you do." I don't tie my own leaders. I think it's a waste of time. And I know there's going to be folks who disagree with that, but I've never had a hand-tied leader, one of those like following the formulas that are out there. I've never had one of those perform exponentially better than the knotless leaders that you get from us here or wherever you're buying your leaders. And on top of that, when you tie your own leaders, you're putting a bunch of knots in it. Those knots are going to cause some drag. And then if there's any moss floating in the river, those knots are magnets for it. I just think it's a waste of time. It's one of those things that if you really want to get into the weeds and do it, I'm sure there's going to be benefits that you will see from it. I'm not saying there's not benefits from it, but the benefit does not outweigh the time it takes to put those together for me. So I just use the knotless ones, and I go that route, and I don't have any complaints.
Yeah, I'm the same way. pull one out of the package, and we were just talking about that technical dry fly situation. If we need an extra foot or two, or we need to build out the leader, we will. So we'll go maybe like a 4X leader. You add 1 or 2 feet of 5X and then another foot of 6X. Technically, that's building out a leader. But the base of our leaders is just going to be one of those you just pull out of the package.
Yeah. So
let's just keep it simple.
Yeah. And like, there's people out there who strongly believe that that's the best way to do it, and they love doing it that way. And good on them. I'm not. They're not wrong. They're not inferior. I've never seen it for myself. So that's all there is to it.
All right, Andrew. I don't know if there's an episode about how to properly fish streamers or different methods of streamer fishing. I would like to hear that.
There actually is an episode of Untangled about how to fish streamers. If you look through the back catalog, I think it was episode 38.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, probably don't watch that one because the first 50 sucked. They were terrible.
Why?
I don't want to talk about it, man. It's just like I sucked at it. The audio quality was no good because I didn't know what I was doing.
That's what makes it fun, though.
No, it was not fun. I look back at it now and I cringe.
It's like vintage.
No, it's not.
It's vintage, Spencer.
No, it was bad.
I think streamers. So I don't fish streamers much. If Spencer fishes streamers, it's from a boat.
Yes.
I will fish streamers on smaller streams sometimes. And when I do, put your flies in front of fish and make them look real. So put your flies in front of fish. I've found that streamer fishing, it's all about getting it to the right depth. So I talked about the sink tip line. That's been a game changer for me. I'll throw a sink tip line on, add 2, 3, 4 feet of 2X tippet to the end of the fly line, and then a heavy streamer. Berkeley, he's tied up some, they're called baby browns, tons of heavy lead wire, huge tungsten cone head on it, sinks like a rock. That has completely changed my small stream fishing because the sink tip line and that heavy streamer just get it down in the water, call them fast, and then make it look real. You're either going to strip it like it's a struggling bait fish or a crawdad, or you're going to swing it in the current.
You can also let them dead drift too. Yeah. Dead drifting streamers is really overlooked. And I think we had someone ask about that a couple weeks ago on the show.
Does that count as streamer fishing? I consider that still nymphing.
I mean.
Yeah, I guess it's streamers. Yeah.
It's however you want to describe it, I guess. But yeah, even just dead drifting them is a great way to do it. It's a great way to fish. I always chuck it from a boat. And the big thing, depth is key. So make sure you get your streamers down to where the fish are. And then the other thing too is if you're getting a lot of follows, but the fish aren't committing, if you can see them follow that streamer in, change up your retrieval speed, change up the tempo of it. You know, do like 2 or 3 quick strips, pause, 1 long strip. 2 or 3 quick, pause, 1 long strip. Change that up all day until you find the tempo, until you find the speed that the fish are really keyed in on. Because once you've figured out that retrieve, especially on still water, that really is kind of the key to getting them to eat a lot more consistently. But it really is just get them to the right depth and then bounce them around. And that really is the key to remember.
It's a good point.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions that we got for today.
Oh, baby.
But
best part of the show.
We are about ready to jump into the live real life moment. And if in case you're new here or you just haven't listened to the entire show sometimes, every week we end the show by reading, sharing a story and picture from folks out there in the VFC audience who are living real life. We love to hear your stories and to see the stuff that you're getting up to, see the pictures of stuff you're getting up to. This is tons of fun. So if you've got a live real life moment that you would like to share, there's a link to send those in down on the show notes or right here on the screen if you're watching the video podcast. And this week's live real life moment is from Qua, who writes in and says, my wife had booked a cabin on a trout stream for me for my birthday. A weekend of waking up, putting on waders, and hitting the stream within a few steps of the cabin. The trout were extremely picky and skittish, but we were able to have varying levels of success all weekend. It definitely felt like work to get a bite, but that just made it feel more worth it when you got one. However, that also meant more frustration when you lost the fish, which happened to both of us several times. It was the last evening of the trip and the sun was setting fast. I could feel the last cast coming as the temperature was rapidly dropping along with the sun. As it got darker, there it was, nearly glowing in the dark, a large golden trout. It was zipping back and forth, sipping on something, so I figured we would have a great shot at it. I threw my confidence flies at it, flies that have been working all weekend, a variant on the pheasant tail and a Frenchie. Every drift I could get a look, but again and again it would refuse. I was already at 5x tippet, so I figured it wasn't being tippet shy. I went up and down sizes and changed out my flies to virtually every confidence fly I had. I even busted out the trash fly box, but had zero interest in anything in that box. Frustration was growing in me, but instead of getting frustrated, I got patient. I set the rod down, took a few steps downriver, and just sat to observe. I looked in the river and saw some small brown bugs that I assumed were caddis larvae, and I noticed the golden trout was only eating near the surface. From my VFC Untangled education, I knew it must be sipping on emergers. I dug deep into my fly box, and there it was, a shop vac. I have had it in my box from the original VFC assortment of flies that I bought back in 2022 when I just got into fly fishing, but have never used it. I tied it on under an indicator at about 18 inches, and I didn't even bother tying on a second fly. I crept up to my spot and knew I wouldn't get many more chances, so I made sure to make a good cast. As soon as the fly hit the water, it darted up to it and smacked it. I barely had time to be ready for it to set the hook, but after a 2-minute adrenaline-induced focused fight, I had it in the net. I don't know why I've never used a shop vac before, but I will definitely make sure I always have it in my box from here on out. Thankfully, I had it though with my original VFC assortment purchase. What an incredible way to end the trip and my birthday. Quick shout out to my wife for the incredible weekend and a fish to remember for life. Well, that's not cool at all.
Love it.
It's not awesome at all, is it? So the golden trout that he's referring to, if you're just listening, it's the big palomino, or I've also heard them called albino rainbow trout. They're the big yellow-skinned rainbow trout. They're not the golden trout from the Sierra Nevada mountains or the Wind River mountains in Wyoming. Not to be confused with that, but we call them the same name for some reason, which is so interesting to me. And that's not to take away from the fish or anything. I'm just trying to add clarity. The fish is awesome, and those are cool-looking fish. And that was a fantastically well-told story. So thank you so much for sending it in.
Like, I need some popcorn. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. Well, with that, folks, we're going to wrap things up this week. Thank you so much for being here, for listening to the entire show. It is more for us than you can imagine. And if you want to help us out even more, make sure you tell everybody you know. Tell your hairdresser. Tell the person who walks your dog. Tell your do people in your house who change the smoke alarm batteries at 2 a.m. for you because you can't be bothered to get out of bed to do that. Tell them about Untangled too. Okay? Make sure everybody knows about Untangled. And if you could, please make sure you rate and subscribe to us wherever you're listening to the show as well, because the more ratings and subscriptions we get means we can help more people live real life, which is the entire goal of what we do here at VFC anyways.
And a big shout out to the people from the school group. Thank you for submitting those questions.
It was great.
It's great.
Great to have it. So with that, I will quit yammering. I think Alex has done yammering as well. And it's time to get out on the water, enjoy yourselves, and until next week, live real life.